Hey guys, this is the first video in a long line of videos that I hope to put out called Let's Play Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Lesser known game in the Final Fantasy series, considered the sequel to the original Final Fantasy Tactics, though not in gameplay. This is a game I got a hold of as a young one and fell in love with it the moment I played it, and I still play it since, and I figured since it's probably the game that I know the most about, or at least one of the few games that I know the most about, I would do a Let's Play on it. So without further ado, this is a Let's Play of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Anyway, here's the main menu. New save game and color mode, which I never really got the purpose of that, but I always mess around with it anyway. So here we are in the world of St. Ivalice, or rather the town of St. Ivalice. I've heard many ways to pronounce this word, Ivalice. I'll probably say it a few different ways throughout this Let's Play. It's hard to tell pronunciations in a game that's all text-based, but anyway, here we have a snowball fight between some of the main characters here. This kid they're picking on here is Mute. He's kind of a little wimp, but I guess we like him or something. We're not too talkative either. He's like a little girl. As you'll learn throughout this Let's Play, I'm not a big fan of Mute as a character. He really gets on my nerves. But anyway, this character is talking here. This is Ritz. She's another one of the main ones. I guess the female protagonist to your male protagonist, but she kind of pops in and out of the story. It's interesting because she's almost an optional character, it can be considered. Anyway, here we get the typical Final Fantasy prompt where you get to name your character. I typically rename my character, but for the purposes of the Let's Play, I figured I'd keep his name as Marsh. And again, that can be pronounced different ways, but I've always said Marsh. And I refuse to say Marsha because that's just a girl's name. Anyway, there's just a little, honestly, not very meaningful text here, but then we'll start the snowball fight here. Now this whole snowball fight thing is really just a different spin on a tutorial. This is generally how combat will be from now on. I guess they just figured a snowball fight would be more fun or something. I don't know. But anyway, they they give you a little bit of backstory here, but really not too much. Anyway, let the tutorial begin. I guess as a warning, the first 20 or 30 minutes of this game, they kind of drag on. They lay on a lot of tutorial right in the beginning, a lot of tutorial, a lot of backstory, and then they kind of throw you into the world. Anyway, here they're talking about moving. Each unit can move a set distance, and depending on their stats and whatever, they can move certain distances, and then they're also speaking about the speed, which would be, who gets to go first. And then they're saying, now that you're in position, you do an action, and every unit's allowed one action and one move per turn. And if you skip one of those two, if you don't move, or if you don't do an action, that will cause your next turn to come around quicker. Oh, and she missed. Epic fail. You choose your facing, and the turn's over. And something a lot of people, or maybe just one person I've talked to before, really don't like about this game is the facing system. Because the way they'll explain it is that when you attack somebody from the behind or from the sides, you will have a higher percent to land a successful attack. And I've just heard people that don't like that system, but I've always been a big fan of it because it really allows you to kind of manipulate the battlefield in your advantage. Oh, right. So here, the objective of this tutorial is to have your units attack the enemy units, but because I absolutely hate the character Mute, I have all my units attack him because he has 8 health. There are 4 enemies and 3 units that can attack Mute on your team, and one of them moves twice. So if he did not dodge any attacks, you would actually be able to KO him with snowballs, but I've never been able to successfully do it. I haven't tried that many times, but every time I start playing, I have all my units target Mute just for fun. See, there's a miss already. And here's where they tell you about facing. Facing will mean a lot when you get ahead later, and you'll get a lot of moves. In particular, one I can think of, Beatdown, I believe it's called, is it's a very low to hit move that deals high damage, so it's really only useful from the behind. If you try to hit somebody with Beatdown from the front, I want to say it's like a 10% shot to hit, whereas somewhere around a 45 from the back. And if you'll notice, all of the enemy units are targeting Mute as well. It's more or less just to show that they're also picking on him. Now, if you'll look, the 3 male enemy units, Guinness, Lyle, and the third one, I forget his name, but they'll say it here in a minute. All 3 units, their names, most of the time in the game, the enemy names are randomized. Like, even some of your own party members later on that aren't so important, their names will be randomized. But one thing I noticed is the 3 bullies in the Snowball fight here, their 3 names will pop up in missions later on in the game as enemy monsters. And I don't know, I've always had theories that, based on certain events in the game, that they actually turned into monsters, but maybe it was just something the creators threw in the game to try to make people speculate a little more. I don't know. And then here, after these turns, the Snowball fight ends and they start teasing Mute again. I find it funny that his name is Mute, and even though it's not spelled the same way, and he doesn't like to talk. His name is Mute, and he doesn't like to talk. That's coincidence, I think. But I think it's funny. What? We're not breaking any rules. Sure, you've been aiming at Mute the whole time. I was watching a Let's Play a while ago. I don't remember who it was, but it was Mega Man Battle Network Let's Play, and the narrator was speaking aloud every single subtitle, and I know I'll be caught doing it every now and again because there will be dead space where I have nothing to say, but I will try to avoid doing that at all possible. I'll try to be more of a commentary than a narrator, but no guarantees. But I mean, really, here this cutscene's just showing how they're teasing him, and he's not standing up for himself. Honestly, I think they draw this cutscene on a little long, because they'll bring up these points again later in the game. Maybe they just wanted to reinforce it, but... And I tried my best not to skip past all of these text boxes for those of you that want to read them. I read kind of fast, and I tend to skip past a lot of boxes, and I know I caught myself doing it a few times here, but I try to leave you guys a little room to read if you want to. And now they've shifted their mockery to Ritz here, but she's not taking it. She's not taking it lightly. She's gonna kick somebody's ass. And then Mr. Leslie steps in. You tell him, Mr. Leslie. Guinness, Lyle, Colin, and Guinness. Those are the 3 names. Later on, there'll be I think there were zombies in one of the missions later on, which is it's an interesting little Easter egg, I guess. But anyway, Snowball fight ends, and we move on to, if I remember, Oh, I'm sorry, I had my scenes mixed up. And Mute's kind of coming out of his shell to you a little bit here, because you are a new kid, and I think it's supposed to be understood this is your first time really, you're really coming out of your shell too. You're kind of, making some friends at this new town. And I can tell, I think you and Mute are both kind of socially awkward. Mute, obviously, but the main character here is just a little odd to me, but I guess that's to be expected, because, I mean, a main character in a series is going to progress through the game. If they started perfect, there would be nowhere to end. Look at Cloud in Final Fantasy VII. He starts out so confused and doesn't know where he is, and then by the end he has resolution. Here, I think it's kind of similar. Your character doesn't really know where he belongs, and you know, he's being kind of quiet. He's starting to make friends, but, I mean, toward the end, and we'll see this, but his character really starts to take shape, which I like. But I mean, all that's happening here is they're making a plan to check out some book at Marsh's house, and Mute's ever hesitant. Why, I'm not sure, but I find it funny that he's not too worried about the fact that his forehead is bleeding right now. I would probably want to go get that bandaged up. Oh, it's just the yellow house, right? Not that there's a lot of houses here. I'll come over as soon as I waste my money. And then now I believe